You have friends. You care about them. But if you're honest with yourself, there's a wall they can never get past. A level of trust you'll never give them. And deep down, you know exactly why, even if you've never admitted it out loud. This is going to make some people uncomfortable, but it needs to be said. Sigma males don't fully trust their friends, not because we're paranoid or damaged, not because we've been betrayed so many times we can't open up anymore. I'm not going to sugarcoat this, or pretend it's not true, just to be socially acceptable. Today, I'm breaking down exactly why Sigma males maintain emotional distance even with people they call friends, and why that distance is actually wisdom, not dysfunction. If you've ever felt guilty about not trusting your friends completely, this video will set you free. Reason 1. We've watched people's true nature emerge under pressure. Let me start with the foundation. Sigma males have usually lived long enough and observed carefully enough to see what happens to friendship when circumstances change. You have friends when everything's equal. When you're all broke together, all single together, all struggling together, everyone's supportive, everyone's loyal, everyone's got your back. But then something shifts. You start doing better than them. You get the promotion they wanted. You start dating someone more attractive. You achieve something they've been trying to achieve. And you watch in real time as friendship turns into jealousy, support turns into subtle sabotage, and loyalty evaporates. I've seen this happen too many times to count. The friend who was your brother suddenly starts making passive-aggressive comments about your success. The friend who said they wanted you to win suddenly starts pointing out your flaws. The friend who claimed to have your back suddenly isn't available when you actually need support. This isn't theory. This is observable pattern recognition. People reveal their true character under pressure, when their ego is threatened, when their status is challenged, when their self-interest conflicts with your well-being. And once you've seen enough people fail these tests, once you've watched enough friendships collapse when the conditions change, you develop a healthy skepticism about how deep any friendship actually goes. I'm not saying everyone will betray you. I'm saying most people will prioritize themselves over you when it matters, and calling that person your friend doesn't change that reality. So Sigma males keep a certain distance. We enjoy friendships, we value connection, but we never forget that friendship is conditional, and those conditions can change without warning. Reason 2. We understand that people talk. Here's something most people don't want to admit. Everyone talks. Everyone gossips. Everyone shares information they shouldn't share. You tell a friend something personal, something you trust them to keep confidential. And they do keep it confidential, from most people. But they tell their partner, or they tell one other trusted friend, who tells another trusted friend. And within weeks, information you thought was private is making its way through your entire social circle. This isn't malicious most of the time. It's just human nature. People can't help sharing interesting information. They bond with others by sharing secrets. They feel important when they know things others don't know. But the result is the same. Nothing you tell anyone is truly confidential. I learned this the hard way. Shared something deeply personal with a friend I'd known for years. Within a month, I heard that information referenced by someone I barely knew. Turns out, my trusted friend told his girlfriend, who told her friend, who told her boyfriend, who mentioned it casually in a group conversation. After that, I implemented a simple rule. Don't share anything with anyone that you wouldn't be comfortable with everyone knowing. Sigma males understand this intuitively. We know that trust is an illusion maintained by people not yet having a reason to violate it. We know that secrets are social currency, and most people will eventually spend that currency when it benefits them. So we keep our cards close. We share enough to maintain friendships, but we hold back the information that could actually damage us if it spread. Not because we're paranoid, but because we're realistic about human nature. Your friends aren't keeping your secrets because they're loyal. They're keeping your secrets because they haven't yet encountered a situation where sharing them benefits them more than keeping them. Once that calculation changes, so does their discretion. Reason 3. We've seen how quickly people turn when there's something to gain. This one is harsh but true. Most people's loyalty lasts exactly until there's an opportunity to benefit by betraying you. You're both competing for the same promotion. You're both interested in the same woman. You're both trying to secure the same business deal. And you watch your friend throw you under the bus without hesitation. They'll rationalize it, of course. It's not personal, it's business. I have to look out for myself. You'd do the same thing in my position. But the bottom line is simple. When their advancement requires your loss, most people choose their advancement. Friendship is a nice bonus when there's no conflict of interest. But the moment interests conflict, friendship becomes negotiable. I've seen friends sabotage each other's relationships. Friends steal each other's business ideas. Friends undermine each other to gain favor with superiors. Friends abandon each other when association becomes inconvenient. And here's what really stands out. These aren't strangers or enemies doing these things. These are people who called each other best friends right up until the moment betrayal became beneficial. Sigma males see this pattern and draw the obvious conclusion. Most people's friendship is contingent on that friendship not costing them anything important. The moment the price of loyalty exceeds its value, loyalty disappears. So we don't invest deep trust in people whose loyalty hasn't been tested under real pressure. We don't assume friendship means someone will prioritize our interests over their own. We keep enough distance that betrayal, when it inevitably comes, doesn't actually damage us. This isn't cynicism. This is pattern recognition based on repeated observation. Reason 4. We know most friendships are transactional. Here's an uncomfortable truth. Most friendships aren't based on genuine connection. They're based on mutual benefit and convenience. People are friends because they work together, live near each other, have shared interests, or provide mutual value. Remove the shared context, and the friendship dissolves. I've watched this play out dozens of times. Work friends who disappear the moment one person changes jobs. College friends who fade away after graduation. Gym friends who vanish when one person switches locations. Neighborhood friends who stop engaging when someone moves. These weren't deep, meaningful connections. They were transactional relationships maintained by proximity and convenience. Once the transaction or convenience ended, so did the friendship. Sigma males recognize this reality. Most of our friends are really just associates we get along with in specific contexts. They're not actually invested in us as individuals. They're invested in the role we play in their lives or the value we provide in specific situations. Remove yourself from their daily environment and watch how quickly they forget you exist. Stop providing value or entertainment and watch how quickly they stop reaching out. This isn't a criticism of those people. It's just reality. Most human connections are transactional and contextual. Expecting more than that from most people is setting yourself up for disappointment. So we maintain friendships at the appropriate level. We enjoy the connection for what it is, but we don't pretend it's something deeper than it actually is. We don't invest emotional vulnerability in relationships that are fundamentally based on convenience. And we definitely don't trust people with important information or critical support just because we've shared some good times and call each other friends. Reason 5. We've learned that people project their own nature onto you. This is subtle but crucial. Most people assume you operate the way they operate. If they would betray you in certain circumstances, they assume you would betray them in the same circumstances. This means people who can't be trusted don't actually trust you either. They're constantly watching for signs that you're going to do to them what they would do to you. I had a friend who was paranoid about being used or exploited. He'd constantly test my loyalty, question my motives, and look for hidden agendas in my actions. It was exhausting. Then I found out he was actively using our friendship to advance his own interests without regard for how it affected me. He was borrowing money he never intended to repay, using my connections for his benefit, and dropping my name to gain credibility he hadn't earned. His paranoia wasn't about me. It was projection. He couldn't be trusted, so he assumed I couldn't be trusted either. This pattern repeats constantly. The people most worried about being betrayed are usually the ones most likely to betray. The people most suspicious of your motives are usually the ones with hidden agendas. Sigma males recognize this pattern and understand its implications. Most people's distrust of you is actually evidence of their own untrustworthiness. And conversely, people who demand your complete trust are often the ones least deserving of it. So we maintain appropriate skepticism. We don't mistake someone's demand for trust as evidence they've earned it. We evaluate people by their actions, not their words. And we keep distance from people whose actions reveal questionable character, even if they're calling themselves our friends. Reason 6. We value self-reliance above all else. Here's something fundamental about Sigma males. We've built our lives around self-reliance. We've learned that the only person we can truly count on is ourselves. This isn't because we're antisocial or damaged. It's because we've repeatedly seen that depending on others, even friends, creates vulnerability. The friend who promises to help you move and doesn't show up. The friend who says they'll invest in your business and backs out. The friend who swears they'll keep your secret and doesn't. The friend who claims they'll have your back in a conflict and disappears. After enough of these experiences, you learn a simple truth. People are unreliable, not because they're bad, but because they have their own priorities, limitations, and circumstances that take precedence over your needs. So Sigma males build lives that don't depend on anyone else's reliability. We develop skills, so we're not dependent on others' help. We build financial stability, so we're not dependent on others' generosity. We cultivate emotional self-sufficiency, so we're not dependent on others' support. This independence means we approach friendships differently. We don't need friends. We choose friends. We don't depend on friends. We enjoy friends. The relationship is optional, not necessary. And when relationships are optional, you don't invest the kind of deep trust that comes with dependency. You maintain enough distance that if the friendship ends or the friend proves unreliable, your life continues unaffected. This isn't coldness. This is wisdom. The people who trust too easily, who depend too heavily, who invest too deeply in friendships, end up devastated when those friendships inevitably disappoint. Sigma males avoid that devastation by never fully trusting in the first place. Reason 7. We've seen how quickly people side against you in conflicts. This might be the most painful lesson. When conflict arises, whether with another friend, a romantic partner, a family member, or anyone else, most friends will either stay neutral or actually side against you. They won't have your back. They won't defend you. They won't support you. They'll either disappear entirely or, worse, join the criticism to protect their own social standing. I watched this happen to a friend of mine. He had a messy breakup with his girlfriend. They had mutual friends, people who had known him longer, who he thought would understand his side. But when she spread her version of events, those friends either stayed silent or actively sided with her, not because her version was true, but because supporting him had social costs they weren't willing to pay. He lost the girlfriend and most of his friend group in one go. Not because he did anything wrong, but because his friend's loyalty was skin deep and situation dependent. Sigma males see this pattern and internalize the lesson. When you really need people, most will not be there. They'll protect themselves, their interests, their social standing. Your well-being becomes secondary to their comfort. So, we don't expect support during conflicts. We don't expect friends to defend us or back us up. We're prepared to stand alone because we know that's the most likely outcome anyway. This isn't pessimism. This is realism based on repeated observation. And this realism prevents the crushing disappointment that comes from expecting loyalty that doesn't exist. Reason 8. We understand that shared vulnerability can become a weapon. Here's something dangerous about trust. The more someone knows about you, your weaknesses, your fears, your mistakes, your secrets, the more they can hurt you if the relationship sours. That intimate knowledge you shared during friendship becomes ammunition during conflict. The vulnerabilities you revealed become targets. The secrets you confessed become leverage. I've seen this weaponization happen too many times. The friend who knows about your past mistakes brings them up during an argument. The friend who knows your insecurities uses them to cut you down. The friend who knows your secrets threatens to expose them when they're angry. Every piece of information you share with someone is a potential weapon they can use against you. And while most people won't use those weapons while the friendship is good, the moment the friendship turns, and it often does, those weapons come out. Sigma males understand this risk viscerally. We know that vulnerability is dangerous. We know that the more someone knows about us, the more power they have over us. So we limit what we share. We maintain privacy, even in friendship. We keep our weaknesses, our fears, our full history locked away, where it can't be weaponized against us. This makes us seem guarded or closed off to some people. They think we're not being authentic or open in the friendship. But we're not being inauthentic. We're being strategic. Because we've learned that shared vulnerability is a gift that can be turned into a weapon at any moment. And we're not willing to hand people that power over us just to meet their expectations of what friendship should look like. Notice what connects all these reasons? They're all based on observation, pattern recognition, and strategic thinking. Sigma males don't distrust friends because we're damaged or paranoid. We maintain distance because we've seen how human nature actually works. Not how we wish it worked, but how it actually works. We've watched people's character change under pressure. We've seen information spread that should have stayed private. We've observed loyalty vanish when self-interest emerged. We've recognized the transactional nature of most relationships. We've noticed projection and tested motives. We've built self-reliance to avoid dependency. We've watched people abandon us during conflicts. We've seen vulnerability weaponized. These aren't theories. These are patterns we've observed repeatedly across different people, different contexts, different situations. And once you see these patterns clearly, maintaining deep trust becomes irrational. Not impossible, but requiring extraordinary evidence that someone is genuinely different from the pattern. Most people aren't willing to accept this reality. They want to believe in unconditional friendship, in loyalty that transcends self-interest, in trust that can be freely given without risk. But Sigma males have moved past comforting illusions to uncomfortable truths. And those truths tell us that complete trust is rarely warranted and usually unwise. This doesn't mean we don't have friends. Before people misunderstand completely, Sigma males do have friends. We do value friendship. We do invest in relationships. But we do it with eyes open. We enjoy friendships for what they are, while maintaining realistic expectations about what they aren't. We have friends we genuinely care about, whose company we enjoy, whose success we support. But we don't pretend those friendships go deeper than they actually do. We appreciate connection without depending on it. We value loyalty while recognizing its limits. We engage in friendship while maintaining independence. This approach allows us to enjoy relationships without being destroyed when they inevitably disappoint or end. We're not devastated when a friend reveals their true character because we never fully trusted that character in the first place. We're not bitter when a friendship fades because we never assumed it was permanent anyway. We're not betrayed when someone prioritizes themselves because we never expected them to prioritize us. This isn't coldness. It's emotional protection based on realistic assessment of human nature. Here's what most people don't understand. This guarded approach to friendship actually makes us better friends, not worse. Because we don't need our friends emotionally, we don't burden them with unrealistic expectations. Because we don't depend on them practically, we don't create pressure they can't meet. Because we don't assume their loyalty, we appreciate it when they do show up. We're low-maintenance friends. We don't require constant validation, regular check-ins, or dramatic displays of loyalty. We're comfortable with space and silence. We understand that people have their own lives and priorities. This makes friendships with Sigma males remarkably pressure-free for people who appreciate that dynamic. There's no guilt, no obligation, no expectation that can't be met. But it also means we won't be the friend who's deeply wounded by betrayal, because we were never deeply invested in the first place. We won't be the friend who's shocked by your true character, because we were always observing it carefully. And we definitely won't be the friend who tells you all our secrets and then acts surprised when those secrets spread. If you're a Sigma male reading this and recognizing yourself in these patterns, understand this. You're not broken, you're not damaged, you're not incapable of deep connection. You're just realistic about human nature and strategic about protecting yourself. The guilt you might feel about not trusting your friends completely, let it go. That guilt is social conditioning telling you that you should be more naive, more vulnerable, more trusting than is actually wise. The people who shame you for being closed off or guarded are usually people who either haven't learned these lessons yet, or people who want access to your vulnerabilities for their own purposes. Trust, when it's earned through sustained behavior over time and tested under pressure. But never feel bad about maintaining appropriate distance with people who haven't cleared those very high bars. Your self-protection isn't a character flaw. It's wisdom earned through observation and experience. If you recognized yourself in this, if you've always felt that keeping some distance from even your closest friends was the right move but felt guilty about it, drop a comment with the word realistic and tell me which reason resonated most. And if this video validated your approach to friendship instead of making you feel broken for being guarded, hit that like button and subscribe. I'm speaking truths that most people aren't willing to acknowledge about how relationships actually work. Remember, protecting yourself isn't paranoia, it's wisdom. And maintaining boundaries isn't coldness, it's intelligence. Until next time, stay Sigma.